Hey everybody, hopefully you've watched my introductory video so you know that I am Rob Freeman. I'm gonna try the sunglasses. I'm still down in North Carolina visiting my family. I'm sitting out by the lovely pool across my mom's house. But my plan is to make a video or two to kind of explain each of the chapters of the book as we go through them, to kind of substitute for a little bit of in-class time. I think it's great to read the textbook, and I hope you do, but even a really excellent student probably would have some questions after reading an economics textbook. So I'm gonna continue making a few of these videos. So chapter one basically introduces you to the economic way of thinking and what economics is. So basically, economics is the study of how people make choices under conditions of scarcity. And that idea of scarcity is really important. Scarcity really refers to anything that is not unlimited. So by that definition, almost everything is scarce to some degree or another. So scarcity is more of something that exists in degrees. Some things are relatively more or less scarce, but almost everything is scarce to some degree. As far as why scarcity is so important, I'll let you kind of read and think about that a little more. But basically the idea is we wouldn't have to make choices if things weren't scarce. So because resources are scarce, we have to make choices about how to use them and things like that. Key concept number two is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is defined as the value of the best foregone alternative. Catchy saying from one of the books I used to use is opportunity cost is the opportunity lost. So we're all used to thinking about cost, but we mostly think of cost in terms of money. But if you take a simple question like this one in yellow, what is it costing you to take this class? It's more than just your money, right? You're spending some money, and that's part of the opportunity cost, but you're spending your time. Perhaps you're giving up the opportunity to be working and earning money, or to be sitting by the pool like I'm doing, or something like that. So all of that stuff is part of the opportunity cost. So the point is, economists think about costs a little bit more broadly. They define it in that way. So basically, the economic way of thinking starts with the idea that opportunity costs matter, that people respond to incentives. They think about prices and incentives and things, and everyone's trying to maximize some objective, such as maximizing their own wealth or their happiness or something. And the third, that people think at the margin. They think marginally. What that means, we'll get into this more as we go through the course, but they think about kind of relative to where I am right now, what happens if I do a little bit more or a little bit less? Those are incremental, marginal changes. So marginal kind of means additional or incremental. So that's basically the way economists assume that people think and make their decisions in life. And that's the important thing to keep in mind as we talk about the economic way of thinking. Okay, about half of you just finished microeconomics with me, so you should know the difference between micro and macroeconomics. But micro focuses on the choices of individual decision makers. Those can be individual people or groups of people or a company or a set of firms. But it's basically about how those individual decision makers respond to incentives. So there's some examples of microeconomic questions below there. How would college students respond if student loan interest rates increase? That's taking college students and looking at them as one group of individual decision makers. Another one is below. How would the tourism industry be affected if Maine increases the lodging and meals tax? So those are examples of microeconomic questions because they're about how individual groups respond to incentives. Macroeconomics is more about the functioning of the overall economy. So it looks at questions like, why is the unemployment rate so low? Will GDP rise or fall if Trump pulls us out of international trade agreements, things like that. So macro is more about kind of things that impact the overall economic health of a country or a state or even the global economy. So there's a bit in the book about economics and the scientific method, and we economists are very sensitive and adamant that we want to be understood as a science. It's a social science, not like the hard sciences, but we are a science, and as such, we use the scientific method very much. We use models of the real world. Our models are kind of more hypothetical, theoretical models of how people make decisions, how those decisions impact other people. But Economic models are still scientific models, and we use the scientific method very much in testing those models. Our basic assumption about how people think and act in the real world is that everyone is out to maximize something, their self-interest or profit if you're in business or something like that. But people are out to maximize some objective given the constraint of scarce resources. Hopefully that will begin to make more sense as the class unfolds. A couple of important terms down there. The fallacy of false cause is the old idea you've probably heard before, that correlation is not causation. And the difference between normative and positive statements, I'll let you read about that on your own. I should have mentioned at some point, I can only make a 10-minute video with the software I'm using, so I'm constantly checking the time and trying not to run out of time. Occasionally, I'll have to make 2 videos for one chapter. But, let's see, I think I have plenty of time. So here's just a heads up on what's coming up in the first week. Chapter 1, 2, and 3 mini quizzes and practice exercises are due on Monday, July 15th. So that's always going to be the case throughout the course. The mini quizzes and practice exercises are due by Monday. Quiz 1 will be open Tuesday the 16th through Friday, July 19th. You find that through coursework, and you take the quizzes online. And critical thinking papers. There are 4 critical thinking paper topics. You only have to do 2 of them. So take your pick. They're all posted under resources, so you might want to read through them and see which ones look most interesting or easier or whatever. But the ones that you do should be done on time. So if you're going to do the first one, it's due Wednesday, July 24th. But again, pick any 2 of the 4. And then I think down at the bottom I can't quite see it, but yeah, I think it was just questions or feedback. Anyway, yeah, let me know if you have any questions about any of this material or due dates or any aspects of how the class is set up. So that's it for Chapter 1. I'll make another video shortly for Chapter 2. Thanks for watching. So, Sonny, I can't find the cursor.